Make your winning move today and bet at MyBookie. Use promo code Gators and claim your deposit match, redeemable up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Gators Breakdown is proud to partner with America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/GatorsFree and use code GatorsFree for free breakfast for life with an active subscription.
Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go, and we are fast and furious with commitments and more portal entries away from the Gators as well. We'll get into it right here as it's really focused on the offensive line. Hey, I'm Gator David Waters with Gators Breakdown. Find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC, bringing you all the offensive line talk right here on this Friday edition of Gators Breakdown. As I mentioned, Devon Manuel, there's a transfer. Gators get a commitment right there. Arkansas in the conference, in the SEC, transferring in the conference to the Florida Gators. So big pickup there for another offensive tackle to put into the rotation. And also Richie Leonard, the guard for the Gators last few years, entered his name into the transfer portal as a grad transfer. So we'll break it all down right here. Pretty short episode right here of Gators Breakdown, but got to update you guys with all the movement that's going on into the program, away from the program. Plenty of headlines. Hey, look, if there's anything the transfer portal has done, it's given us content creators a lot more content out there. There used to be more of a dead period when following a college football program. Not any longer. It is fast and it's furious. So hey, we get to have more conversations as a fan base, as content creators right here. So on that note, if you like what you see here on Gators Breakdown, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Lots and lots to get into. And look, the conversation's going on like crazy on the Gators Breakdown Plus Discord. You can get access by joining Gators Breakdown Plus. Link is in the description. Extra episodes, chats, ad-free episodes. If you're a Gators Breakdown Plus member, one more time, link is in the description to join. All right, so let's get it started. Gator Nation, you know how we do it. We got to commit. And this time it is offensive lineman, offensive tackle, Devon Manuel, of course, from Arkansas, visited Florida this past Wednesday, spent his first 3 seasons for the Razorbacks, and redshirted his freshman season in 2021, appearing in 1 game in 2022, and then 9-game appearance this past season, 4 starts in this most recent 2023 season along the offensive line. He was projected starter coming out of the spring at their offensive tackle there for Arkansas, but he played sparingly with over 400 snaps. He was dealing with injuries, so he kind of platooned as a starter throughout this past season. Still found his way to manage getting on the field for 9 games. Played well toward the end of the season. He received a 63.5 pass blocking grade from Pro Football Focus, as well as a 65.6 run blocking grade and a 68.4 overall grade from Pro Football Focus. Each of those marks considered average to above average on Pro Football Focus's scale. If you like to go by that, that's just one more metric to go by, whether you agree or disagree. It's somewhere to start. So average to above average there at Arkansas. Look, Arkansas's offensive line this past year, nothing to write home about, but Sam Pittman historically recruits, develops offensive line at a high level. So he likes something here. And as I said, dealing with injuries, here was Manuel. And also, it was a coaching change along the offensive line for Arkansas. That played a part here as well. And he struggled with weight gain when he arrived on campus, and that he had to slim down in order to get on the field at Arkansas. So kind of, we saw it here at Florida too. Position coach change. Some guys decide to leave. But right there, some SEC experience right here coming into the conference or coming to Florida from the conference. So a little bit, SEC experience. I think you can write home about that. And then playing much better toward the end of the year when he was healthy. We'll see what that means at Florida. Had offers from Florida, USC, Kentucky, Colorado, Missouri, Oklahoma State as well. 6'9", 310 pounds. Was a 3-star prospect coming out of high school from Louisiana. So around that same time, of course, Billy Napier in the state as well. So surely background information. I'm sure Billy Napier was familiar with Manuel here. So he was the 1,049 overall recruit in the 2021 cycle, according to the On3 industry rankings. So, of course, coming into tackle here, you wonder how does he fit in? Now Crenshaw Dixon comes in as another transfer. So this is 2 tackle transfers for the Gators at the offensive tackle spot. And then, of course, you have to throw that into Austin Barber. So this is a 3-man mix here. I think that you go into spring practice with what we want to have, and that is a competition. We've seen it with our own eyes this past year, where the struggles at offensive tackle there for Florida. I mean, I guess you throw Damian George in this mix too, but I think and we'll get into it in just a second, going into maybe move more inside. And we saw the struggles there last year. I would put him 4th right now in this list. I mean, look, when we talk about this stuff, critiques like that, it's not a shot at the player, but we all know it wasn't good what we saw from Damian George at the offensive tackle spot last year. So you hit the transfer portal, of course, and you have Austin Barber coming back as well. So I think, that gives you your 3, maybe George is a 4th, but I think you kind of maybe see what else you have on the roster. I think as we move towards spring football, Crenshaw Dixon, Austin Barber, and now Manuel joins into the fold as well. So I think a pretty good competition. I mean, Crenshaw Dixon experience playing both sides left and right. Barber experience playing both sides left and right. So you have that into the mix as well. Those guys are versatile. So I think it gives you a pretty good 3-man battle along this offensive line, and specifically there at offensive tackle to help Graham Mertz in some more protection there, of course. That's what we want to see first and foremost from this offensive tackle spot. So SEC experience, probably not as much as you'd like, honestly, overall, but did start some games there for Arkansas. Hopefully, translates here for Florida. But 6'9", 310 pounds. I mean, big size there. We've kind of seen that throughout the Billy Napier tenure so far of some of the offensive line mammoth size that they have there. So one more added into the fold of the 6'9", 310 pound Manuel. So there you go. One more addition. This is, of course, I mean, nothing you're going to write home about. I mean, it's at least I think somebody you bring in some competition. At the very least, he's a depth piece, and hopefully a dependable depth piece at the very least behind, say, Crenshaw Dixon and Barber. Maybe he comes in and proves that he needs to start and can improve on his play. I mean, his Pro Football Focus grades were better than Barber and George from last year. Now, granted, we probably knew that about George, but still higher grades than Barber and George from last. So he would be an upgrade just based on a Pro Football Focus grade from the Florida offensive tackles last year. So talk about getting better. Now, of course, I think when we say get better, there's levels to it. You'd like to get a lot better. It's marginally better here, according to a Pro Football Focus grade. So maybe there's another step here for Manuel, but at the very least, proves depth and competition. They need some competition in that room, need some competition on this team. And I think that what you get here in Manuel. So, of course, heavy offensive line talk here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. We will get into more of it in just a second. But, hey, start the new year right with my friends at MyBookie. MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests to fill all your sports betting needs anytime, anywhere. So you can turn all that sports knowledge into cash in your wallet. NFL playoff push is coming. The playoffs start next week. You got the college football playoff final between Michigan and Washington coming up. Bet on all that, or if you want to try something different, try those weekly blackjack tournaments at MyBookie as well. If you've been waiting for the right time to get in on the action, well, that time is now. Make your winning move today. Sign up at MyBookie, use promo code Gators, and claim your deposit match, redeemable up to $1,000. Again, that is promo code Gators to claim your bonus. Experience the thrill of sports betting right from the comfort of your home. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. And whether your New Year's resolution is to save money, eat better, or stress less, well, you can have all three of those by joining America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. Make saving time your breeziest resolution with quick, convenient recipes delivered right to your door. Just choose your meals and select the delivery date. HelloFresh handles the meal planning and shopping, so all you have to do is open your weekly box of pre-portioned ingredients and step-by-step recipes to get cooking. Breakfast is now worth waking up for. I wasn't a big breakfast fan, honestly. If I wanted something hot, it kind of took too long. But now my HelloFresh has one of my favorites. Those quick and easy egg bites to get my day going. Well, you can have it too. Go to HelloFresh.com/GatorsFree and use code GatorsFree for free breakfast for life. That's one breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/GatorsFree with code GatorsFree. All right, this Friday started with some news that Richie Leonard, offensive guard for the Gators, would hit the transfer portal as a grad transfer. So started all 12 games for the Gators this past year at left guard. Finished his redshirt junior season, logged a team high 755 snaps. So we kind of talked about, maybe trying to add to the experience and maybe build on some experience. Well, this is another hit in that category. I'm not going to sit here and scream that Richie Leonard was some outstanding offensive lineman and he can't be missed. But, one more time in this scenario, maybe you'd like to build on the experience. And one more time, a lot of snaps are leaving the Florida Gators. And look, we all know this offensive line was nothing to write home about last year, whether it be specifically the tackle spots, but, guard either. It wasn't as good as it has been. But still, you're going to be missing 755 snaps from last year's offensive line. So, of course, Leonard was from Cocoa, Florida, 6'2", 310-pound, 3-star prospect coming out. So he said, I would like to thank the University of Florida for my time. Glad I can say I'm an alumnus of this great institution. With that being said, I'm entering my name into the transfer portal as a grad transfer. So there we go. Had his degree in media and society. So good old Richie Leonard, the Gator that played a whole lot of football, never in trouble, gave you a whole lot of snaps, gave you a whole lot of production there. But now, of course, how do you replace it? What do you do to replace Richie Leonard? Is he replaceable? Yeah, he's replaceable. Look, I'd like to have it. We talked about depth and competition. That's why I'd like to have those over 700 snaps in here. I mean, turn the page away from Richie Leonard and you get pretty young right here at the offensive guard spot. Once again, and so we're relying on youth once again. Hey, look, it's not really an excuse in year three for Billy Napier. In a critical year three, going to have to turn the page to youth. Now, in some ways, that can be good. I'm big on Najee Harris, who I think was probably going to be pushing for a start guard job anyway. We just talked about it in one of the last episodes. Ideally, I thought it was going to be maybe Richie Leonard at left guard and Najee Harris at right guard. Well, now that's a little bit different. I think you got a combination here. And then let's not forget now, you lost Micah Mazuka as well. So you lost both of your guards from last year's offensive line. And as I said, the guard spots did play better than the tackle spots last year. Nothing to write home about. Nothing elite about it, of course. But I thought serviceable. Now, is that good enough? No, you want better than serviceable. Of course you do. But can Florida achieve that anyway? I do think it probably would have been beneficial to have Richie Leonard at left guard, Najee Harris at right guard to replace Micah Mazuka. But now you got to replace both guards. So I think that makes Florida pretty young right here as far as the roster stands right now. Now, I do think you have 3 players in that mix. Is it a for sure thing that Jake Slaughter is a starting center for Florida? Can Najee Harris be the center? Can Roderick Kearney be the center? Jake Slaughter maybe slides to guard. I do think I would heavy pencil in Jake Slaughter as the starting center. I think that would be the way I'd lean right now, but who knows? That could change. But I do think maybe as the roster stands right now, of course, transfer portal is another option here for the interior of the offensive line for Florida. I absolutely think they should attack it. So you don't have to rely on a Najee Harris or a Roderick Kearney if they go out there. So they create competition and earn it. That's exactly what you want. But to just have to hand over the keys to those guys, that's when you maybe start getting in trouble if they're not ready. Harris, I believe, is ready. Kearney, I'm high on. Still has to prove it. We saw him in the spring game last year at center, new position, struggled snapping the ball. Definitely needs to put on some weight to play the position. But now has a year of development, a year of, which I know it's kind of been criticized, but a year of strength training here at Florida. So I don't know how much that really means, but still a year of college strength and conditioning How much does that mean for Roderick Kearney after a redshirt year this past year? Can he make his presence felt on the interior of this offensive line? If so, I think you got a pretty good young nucleus with him and Harris and maybe Slaughter at center. And those are your two guards. If not, I think you maybe find a combination of those three, whether it be Kearney playing center or Harris playing center. So I do think ideally, if Kearney can step up and be that guy right away as soon as he's getting these spring reps coming up, then Harris, Slaughter, Kearney, there's the interior of your offensive line. Now, what can change that, as we're talking about Richie Leonard leaving and maybe some pieces moving around, I think you have to throw in Damian George as an option at guard. I think you do have to throw in maybe Cam Waits as well as an option at guard. Waits maybe stays tackle. I do think that's a question. I think George, from asking around a bit, the thought seems to be now that he played guard at Alabama, maybe try guard, see if he's better there than he was at tackle. Maybe he's not better. Maybe he's not better there either. But I do think we know what he is as a tackle. Maybe the staff sees what he can be at a guard in this Billy Napier offense. But Cam Waits is an interesting one here of where he may fit on the inside. So it may give you some more options, may give you some guys who have taken more snaps than Roderick Kearney. But look, I think Najee Harris is going to be a starter right here. Maybe, taking over for Richie Leonard. What about the other guard spot? So I think that's where we're kind of at right now. And of course, the transfer portal. Hit the transfer portal for another guard. Of course, can't put that in here right now, as we have seen the last couple of days. I mean, Florida with 3 transfer portal gets in the last couple of days. Transfer portal's not done. And we haven't really heard or seen much action as far as interior offensive linemen go, as far as visits happening. Maybe more behind the scenes going on there. But I do think we're probably going to be closing down soon with visits happening. If it doesn't happen in this first portal window, maybe down the road, but you'd love to start trying to figure this out in spring practice coming up. So there's kind of the names, the cogs of what you got as far as the interior of the offensive line goes. But, now this is going into a season where you've lost your guards. You got some questions at tackle, hit the portal there. So most important thing, or not the most, but one of the more important things along the offensive line is a little bit of continuity. Well, not going to have a whole lot here. After losing your guards, Crenshaw Dixon comes in. So, now granted, you need him. And in this new world of college football, continuity along the offensive line, how hard is that going to be? I remember hearing Cole Cubitt talk about that not long ago. SEC Network analyst. He has his own show and his own podcast. And he's in this new age of college football, he thinks offensive line is getting hit the worst in this because of these reasons: the transfer portal, guys moving, continuity not there, the limitations in practice that you now have to go by with physicality and how many times you can rep and all that. And he thinks offensive line's probably the position group that gets hit the hardest with the way college football is now constructed. And you can see it, with all these moving pieces. The more snaps you can get together in continuity, I think the better you will be. But that's hard now. And that's really going to be hard now. So in Billy Napier's first year, it kind of worked. And that's because you had a outstanding all-world guard in Osiris Torrance. And look, I even think it made Austin Barber better right there on the right side. So, the continuity didn't mean as much then. But I do think, you'd love to have the continuity if you can get it. Kind of going to another season now where Florida really won't have the continuity right there up front with all these pieces moving. So, I mean, some other names I just don't know yet. Riley Simons has just been on the roster forever. I don't know if we can count anything out of him. Christian Williams is another young player, maybe kind of going along the same lines of Kearney, behind the scenes, getting ready, getting developed. I mean, look, this is at the point now. You're in year 3. All these young pieces you've brought in, this is where we need to start seeing the development, the 2 O-line coach system. And, hey, look, that's what Manuel, the recent transfer said that he liked about Florida was all the resources Florida puts in the offensive line. That's got to pay off. That's got to pay off a lot of these young guys, a lot of these depth pieces. I mean, if you're going to not recruit at the high level along the offensive line, because we haven't seen that. We really haven't. Fletcher Westfall, Roderick Kearney, those are 2 names there in the last couple of classes. Najee Harris was at one point and probably still right now the best of the bunch. He fell in the rankings, but still, I think we at one point knew how high of a recruit he was along the offensive line. Florida had some stuff there. But a lot of the other offensive linemen, not really highly ranked. So it's going to take time. It's going to take development. Well, you're going into year 3. That development for a lot of these unheralded offensive linemen and guys who haven't played a whole lot yet, we need to see that pay off in year 3. So the opportunity with the way the portal's working and the opportunities now there, we need to see it pay off. So a lot of these other names that we haven't heard a whole lot of, we need to start hearing a whole lot of. I know another guy they're really excited, and that's a true freshman. I don't want to put it on him, especially coming from overseas, but Noah Portjagan, Billy Napier had high things to say about him, and he's going to be an early enrollee. Kind of different overseas where he's playing with grown men at times. How does that translate? Does it translate faster for him? Is it a deterrent in his development? I think this spring will go a long way in determining that. But if I want to start looking at some of the younger guys, maybe some of the guys that are coming in, Portjagan probably is another guy I'd keep a lookout for. Well, there we go. All right. Told you, a little bit shorter of an episode, but we just had to update all the movement going on along the Florida Gator offensive line right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. I do thank you for joining me right here on this episode. And guys and girls out there, have a good weekend. And if there's any more news, we'll be sure to break it down right here on Gators Breakdown.